What's going on, guys? Top Tier Gaming here, and today I have another tips video for you. And the topic for today's tips video is actually set knowledge. So set knowledge is super important in this game because the sets in Weiss Schwarz, they don't change. So like knowing what cards a set has is always beneficial because their decks always will fall under the card pool that they have. So to compare it to another card game, I'm going to go with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's the one I know the most. If you've never played Yu-Gi-Oh, you should still be able to like grasp what I'm saying. Weiss Schwarz isn't a lot of people's first card game, so you can sort of relate this to whatever card game you've played before. In Yu-Gi-Oh, sets change constantly. There's a ban list that changes your deck for you. Sets continually come out. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, you can play anything you want from any set. There's no set rotation, anything like that. So understanding how one deck build is super important when the deck build can change all the time. Not saying you shouldn't know what the most common deck is in that game, but in Weiss Schwarz it's a little different and a little more beneficial in my opinion. I say this because sets don't change, as I said before. So if you read all of a certain set and the deck only has one set, you know every single card that this person can possibly be running. And that's really advantageous because it tells you how to play around their deck completely, what their power plays are, how you can play around it. When you're going into a game blind, it's one of the most like setback feels bad moments you can have in Weiss. Like imagine playing against sort of like if you're going to a high level event and you play against Attack on Titan and you don't know what the deck does. It can actually be really hard for you to win the game, and that's why set knowledge is just so very important. You never get caught by surprise factor. For new players, this is a struggle because every card seems so different. How am I supposed to remember the cards of every set when there's so many sets? And I'm here to tell you that even though every set is different, a lot of them actually share these same effects. So what do I mean by this? So let's take the Ricky effect, for example, in a lot of different decks. So this card is originally from Little Busters, but let's take the Mighty Ricky from Steins Gate. So what Rickies always have in just about every set is their cost is the same. So every Ricky should have a pay 1 and clocking yourself somehow. So you never have to like know the costs for Rickies. You never have to, when you see your opponent do a Ricky effect, you never have to like question how does this Ricky work, because they all do the same thing. So you never really have to like check up that translation for the cost. It is important to sort of know which sets have unique effects. Unique effects are the main thing you should keep track of when you're reading sets. So like the Ricky from Gun Gale Online Alternative, it actually is a pay 1, but the stock you paid goes to clock, which is interesting. Not the biggest thing to like note because it still does the same thing, but you really need to know the unique effects in every set. So like example in No Game No Life, the King event that mills 4 and then goes to memory and gives power, that's an effect to note because it's not every set has a card that does that. Knowing what makes a set unique and what the meta builds are of the deck is the most important part. Another thing that's really big is, especially when going to a big event, in knowing set knowledge is you really have to keep track of Tier 1 and Tier 2 decks the most. So making sure you know what Disgaea does isn't like the biggest like priority on your list before you're going to an event or whatever. Knowing what things like Bang Dream, Love Live Sunshine, and Attack on Titan do, however, is pretty important because you should expect to see a lot of that. So I know a lot of my viewers are actually like newer to the game, so you might not be going to an event anytime soon, but this is really good for your locals too if you have one or you're playing with friends. It's really good to know what sets do so you're never caught off guard. And even I don't know what every set does. I am kind of just coming back to the game, reading back up on all these sets that have come out since I've left. It can be pretty taxing, but you don't have to like rush into it. You can take your time. Like Bang Dream has so many cards and like so many effects, so I sort of take my time reading the effects, seeing like what all the best climax combos are, their unique effects, what it has going for it. And it's a process that does take time, but it's one that is a good investment if you are trying to get good at Weiss Schwarz. The good news is once you've sort of like caught up on all the sets that are already out. As sets come out, it's much easier to remember what they do because you can read what a set does as it comes out. It's not like a big list, gigantor book for you to sort of rummage through and figure out what the best cards are. Another really helpful, like, maybe not tip, but tool you can use is deck profiles, either on YouTube. There are lists on certain websites you can see what people are like playing, and this can help you see what the meta builds are, what is you're most likely to play against if you play against X set, say like Attack on Titan. You can watch a deck profile, and you know which cards are most important to know what they do. So watching deck profiles is a good way to get set knowledge, because you can see what most people are playing or what most people determine are the best cards in the set. So really this whole video can be like boiled down to just know your sets for head, but yeah, I wanted to make a video that really explains to the newer players in the game that set knowledge is a super important thing in Weiss Schwarz. It's one of the things that can keep you from being going from a good player to a great player, is knowing all of your matchups. And once you have set knowledge, you don't just like leave it at that. Whatever deck you're planning to play, you should find sort of a play style that helps you when you're going up against certain matchups. Like when I am going personally up against Konosuba, I make it a priority to have my backups in hand so I can deny their level 1 climax combo. So like sets with climax combos that are on reverse, you say backups for. You know, just having the set knowledge isn't like enough. You need to know how to sort of play around other sets so you know your best play going into every turn, every level, and it can really just help you win your Weiss Schwarz game. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Just sort of a tips video on like knowing your sets. Pretty much making people aware of it. There's only so much I can like say besides go read or, you know, learn your sets. It's easy peasy, haha. So yeah, it really is just to make people more aware, because I know some people go to my playlist on the tips videos, like newer players, and they sort of try to learn the game from there. So this is another thing to just say like, hey, knowing your sets is good in this game because set knowledge is very important. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you're looking for Weiss Schwarz content, as of right now I do upload every other day, so you can subscribe to the channel if you're looking forward to more Weiss Schwarz stuff. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. This was Top Tier Gaming. Bye YouTube.